All right, let's take a journey. We're going to go from the very first, simplest pixels on a screen all the way to experiences so immersive, it's like stepping into a brand new reality. This is the incredible evolution of video games. So you gotta wonder, right? How did we make that jump? How did we get from just a couple of rectangles and a bouncing dot to tech that literally makes you feel like you are standing inside a digital world? This story, well, it's about a lot more than just better graphics. It's about technology, sure, but it's also about creativity and how we connect with each other. And that's our whole theme right there. From pixels to presence. It's a journey showing how technology completely changed not just how we play, but how we create and connect. Okay, let's start at the beginning, in what I like to call the age of imagination. Back then, the games themselves were, pretty simple. But the secret sauce? That was the human element. Our own imagination, and that simple desire to compete. That's what made them absolutely magnetic. And man, this foundation was laid fast. It all kicks off with that first spark of competition, Pong, back in '72. Then, boom, 1980, Pac-Man explodes onto the scene and becomes this huge cultural icon. Just 5 years after that, Nintendo brings these epic adventures right into our homes with the NES. And then, by '96, the N64 just shatters the whole 2D world and kicks off the 3D revolution. What's so fascinating about this time is that the limitations, they were actually the strength. The graphics were super basic, right? So our minds filled in all the details. The gameplay was all about pure, fast reactions. But the most important thing? It was all built around people. Arcades weren't just places with machines. They were buzzing social hubs. So then comes the next giant leap. Gaming moves out of the arcades and straight into our living rooms. All of a sudden, these consoles were giving us entire worlds in a cartridge. Adventures that were so big, so complex, there was no way you were finishing them in one go. And this was a massive shift. I mean, the living room TV was suddenly more than a TV. It was a portal. When you played games like The Legend of Zelda or Sonic the Hedgehog, you weren't just trying to get a high score. No. You were setting off on a real quest, and the experience just got so much richer. We started getting these longer, more complex stories, told through the very first cutscenes. It's like the developers became movie directors. The music wasn't just some background tune anymore. It was designed to make you feel something. And as the arcade started to fade, this whole new social scene popped up. Couch co-op, sharing that adventure with a friend sitting right next to you. All right, so the next era, it was all about one single massive ambition: to break down the screen. The goal wasn't just to show you a world anymore. It was to pull you right through the glass, first with 3D, then with players all over the globe, and finally, by making your own body the controller. 3. Dimensions. This was the absolute game changer. Consoles like the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 gave us real 3D worlds to explore. In games like Super Mario 64 and Final Fantasy VII, you weren't just stuck going left and right. You were exploring places with real depth, with height. It was this incredible new feeling of freedom. And with that tech leap, of course, came a huge social shift. Couch co-op was awesome, but it was local, intimate. But with the explosion of online worlds like World of Warcraft, suddenly gaming went global. You were part of these massive connected communities, playing alongside people you've never even met, from every corner of the planet. But breaking down that screen wasn't just about the visuals or the internet. The next step was physical. With the Nintendo Wii and then later the Kinect, the controller itself started to vanish. The goal was to let you play naturally, to use your own body as the way to interact. And that brings us right to today. We're in an era where the goal isn't just to play the game anymore. The goal is to feel like you are truly living in the game. The new mission is to feel like you are physically there. This brings us to a really important idea: virtual presence. And listen, this isn't about the hardware. It's a psychological state. It's the science, the art of tricking your brain into truly believing that you are physically there in a world that's completely computer-generated. So how does VR actually do it? Well, it's this amazing mix of technologies all working together. You've got a full 360-degree view that moves when you move your head. Your hands are tracked perfectly in real time. The physics feel real. You have spatial audio, so you know exactly where a sound is coming from. In a game like Half-Life Alyx, all of this comes together to just completely blur the line between your real self and your virtual self. Okay, we've come such a long way from a single dot to feeling like you're actually there. So what's the next level? Where do we go from here? Let's look at the tech that's trying to make virtual presence totally indistinguishable from reality itself. And this isn't some far-off science fiction, okay? This stuff is in development as we speak. First up, you've got haptic suits that let you actually feel the virtual world. Then there are brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs, which could let you control things just with your thoughts. And all of this seems to be pointing toward the metaverse, a shared virtual world that keeps going even when you log off. And this leaves us with one last, really powerful thought. We started this whole thing with just a bouncing dot. We traveled through worlds packed in a cartridge, we broke down the screen, and now it looks like the next frontier isn't just about playing the game anymore. It might just be about living it. What does a future like that really mean for us? Now that's something to think about.